Good morning, Instagram, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am Deirdre Reardon Hall, and you are at Writers Uncut, a weekly live broadcast that my writer bestie Cheyenne Young and I do together. Here she comes. Good morning. We are two hybrid authors, which means we've been published and we've self-published, writing and all the everything involved in that. Hi, Gemma. And so we invite you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Can you see me or am I too dark?
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I just did a quick intro, and I'm just going to finish quickly what I was saying, and then I have something to tell you. But if you are here and you have any questions about writing or publishing or promotion or any of that, please drop them in the comment box, and we will get to it. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I was scrambling to get here on time because I just finished a chapter, and I was letting it upload on my computer and it was taking forever.
Oh.
So I was like, hurry up. I mean, I don't need my computer for this, but I like to have it open just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm okay. I'm dealing.
You're dealing.
But we'll talk about that when we do our updates.
Okay. I'm just going to do like a non-writing personal update, but I feel like I'm also kind of scrambling. As you know, plumbers were supposed to be at my house today at 7 a.m. So of course we all got up early and did all the, I have two kids, so everyone was getting ready for school like extra early because they were turning off the water. And it's after 9 a.m. here, and they're not here. I guess they had an emergency, like a plumbing emergency, which is legitimate, but it's just
that makes a little sense. When they say they're going to be here at 7, you think you'd be the first appointment of the day. So
yeah.
Hopefully they had an emergency. I don't know. That sucks. But I'm excited that you're getting a new bathroom.
Me too. I know. I'm excited to have a bathroom back. It's like when we have 2 bathrooms in our house, but when you're used to having 2 and then you have one and everyone's sharing it, it's like first world problems. I know, but still. Do you want to do our personal update?
I was going to say first world problems. I have 4 bathrooms and 3 people live in my house, and we bought this house and I was like, it's going to be so great. We're going to have 4 bathrooms, but that means we have to clean 4 bathrooms. Yes. So it's not always a good thing. It sucks, yes. But I try to make my teenager do that. But one of the bathrooms, I just call it the cat's bathroom because that's where I put our litter box. So nobody goes in there except to change the litter box. But anyway, Belle just said, oh my God, I relate. Do you relate to having too many bathrooms or too few bathrooms? Because it's awesome having a lot of bathrooms, but I do not like keeping them clean. And you have to dust them, because there's 2 bathrooms we don't really use, and you got to go in and clean them and dust them. So it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But
I actually know exactly what you mean. My mom, dad, and I had to share a bathroom because their bathroom shower wasn't finished when we moved in. Yeah. So having everybody too few, it's hard. Yeah. And everyone has different schedules, and you're just casually going in there, and then it's like, I gotta get in. It's like, okay.
Well, I have this really weird habit that my husband thinks is ridiculous. I cannot shower if the shower's wet. I have to be the first one in the shower. And yes, I do turn the water on first before I get in there. And he's like, I don't understand. But there's something about the humidity already in the air and the walls all wet. I don't know. I just hate it. Yeah. So it's like, I have to shower first. And he's like, you're so weird, or he'll be like, I'm about to shower, so you better go first because I know you won't shower after me. So anyway, that's a little bit off topic. So I guess we can kind of reel this in here. And before I tell you more of my really weird habits.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always a rush, a hurry to see who can get into the bathroom first. Yeah. Well, potty talk aside, personal update time.
Sure. Do you want to go first? Because mine sucks.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. You and I haven't talked much in the last couple of days. I was away.
Well,
I was in Arizona.
You know this, but I figured for clarity I should share with everybody. So you go first.
All right. Well, if you recall last week,
morning,
I was kind of freaking out about having to do a revision, and I did the revision, and I think I went into another zone in my head. Like I went into some other gear or something because somehow it all happened. I don't know. I don't remember like what we ate for dinner those nights. I don't remember anything that happened other than the fact that I now have a printed out.
Yay!
And I'm gonna start or I call it revising, but really editing it today and making sure that it makes sense, because it might not. I don't know what I wrote. I don't even remember what I wrote. I just feel like this zone, like this tunnel. And I was like, I'm going to do this, putting my nose down, and I did it. And so I'm really glad about that. But at the same time, I'm terrified. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if it makes any sense. I don't know if I did it.
Well,
yeah.
I'm happy that you got through it at least.
Thank you.
Do you ever like go through and do kind of a line edit of what you've written, and you think of this perfect line, like, ooh, this would be good, and you type it in, and then you realize you wrote the same thing a few sentences down?
Yes,
because that happens to me all the time. And then it's like, I guess it's your brain. Like your brain's going to think of the same thing every time you read that situation. So it's like, I was like, oh, I should have trusted previous Cheyenne because she knew what she was doing. But it's like, there's so many times where I can't even add something to a scene because it's already there. And maybe I'm subconsciously remembering it. I don't know. But like nothing makes me more annoyed than when I think of like this perfect line.
Yeah,
and it's already been used.
And then as you get on, you're like, wait a minute. Like I like it is a matter of trust, like trusting myself. It's so funny you say that, because that happened a lot in this one, especially when I've let a manuscript rest for a while, and I haven't looked at it, and then I'll come back to it and be like, oh, wait, like I was very clear here. Like it just was a few more lines down, and so yeah, it's if that happens to anybody else, raise your hand. I'm glad I'm not unique in that. But it is such a strange phenomenon, and it is
it's so weird,
peculiar.
It's like every time it happens, it's like, wow. But, I think it's a combination of like your creative brain is going to kind of jump to the same thoughts.
Yeah.
And you might also be subconsciously remembering it. I don't know. But I can pick up one of my published books right now and flip through it, and I won't even remember like paragraphs of it. I don't remember writing it. Especially my favorite is when people quote my book on Twitter or something. And I'm like, man, that's a really good quote. I don't remember writing that. So, so it's like you think you forget it all, but it's like your brain will come back to it, those good lines. Yeah. But anyway, so is that all your updates? Should I give mine?
That's pretty much it. I've got my red pen out. I'm diving in when we're done.
Fun stuff. So I have a crappy update. My publisher has decided they don't want to publish my next book. I remember the last couple episodes I told you they were still thinking about it, and what it really comes down to, in so many very polite words, is that Sasha just hasn't sold enough copies. So they said they're having a really tough time selling young adult contemporary, which is what I write. So that sucked, just to put it plainly. It totally sucked, because you're really hoping for that new book deal, and my agent and I were hoping. So that doesn't mean it's the end of this book. We are going out on submission to other publishers, so fingers crossed, but I'm also just like not in the mood to start racking up more rejections, because every time you go on submission, you will get rejections, and I hope that there's at least one yes. But it's just been so sucky, because it's like we talk about the roller coaster of publishing and writing, and it's like every time something bad happens, I can usually kind of get over it in a day or two. Like a really horrible Kirkus review that I got for Sasha, like it destroyed me. But within like 24 hours, I was okay. I was over it. I was like, whatever, it's in the past. And I got rejected like a week ago, and it still had me down. It's been so hard to write, to do my freelance writing, my, my work that I get paid for. I've had such a tough time doing that. I've had a tough time really doing anything, because it's like, it really sucks. And it's like, this is that part where you start comparing yourself, and you try not to. And it's like everywhere you look on social media, everybody else is getting their next book deal, and everybody else has several books with the same publisher. And I've got I have one series, and then one other standalone, and another standalone with 3 different publishers. So it's like nobody wants to keep me. And that's, it's like, it's sad. And it's like, it sucks, and so I'm trying to get over it, and I'm trying to stay hopeful, because my agent's hopeful, and it's like, this isn't the end of me. I'm still going to keep trying, and we're going to send that book out to other publishers. Hopefully somebody wants it, because I really love this book. And I really hope that young adult contemporary is not dying, but it almost feels like it is in many ways, because fantasy is really on the rise. So I hope, I'm hoping and I'm hoping. So maybe in a week or two or 3 or 4, I will have an update for you on that, because right now it's like, it's just consuming my every waking second of being alive. I'm just thinking about wanting another book deal.
Yeah. Well, it's a really, I mean, it makes perfect sense that you'd be feeling the way you're feeling, but also it's another part of it is like your uncertain future. Like for months now, it's been on submission. They've been waiting. You've been waiting to hear back, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, you know, hopefully this is what's going to happen, and that's the direction, the trajectory of like the next steps in my career. And then when that's taken away, it's like, oh, okay, now where am I
Yeah.
going? What am I doing? And you're in that limbo land, and that's so hard. That is such a hard
And
thing to be in.
it's hard in so many ways. It's like, because as an author, I think, just the perfect career would be to have a new book release once a year.
Yeah.
If you wait too long between releases, you're gonna fade away and no one's gonna know who you are. And it's like now I've missed it. Like, I'm not having a book coming out this year. If I get another book deal, it'll be 2020 if I'm lucky. So it's like now I have to go 2 years without a new release. And now I have just it feels like a failure because Sasha's not selling as well as I want it to, as the publisher wanted it to. And it's like,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because one of my friends, I told them I'm going on submission, and she said, "Oh, well, you better make sure your Sasha sales are good because that's what publishers look at." And I was like, "Crap! Like, why did you make me think of that? Because that's true. When publishers are considering your next book, they're going to look at the sales of your previous books." And it's like, well, crap. And so you may have noticed it's like I'm pushing and doing every possible thing I can think of to sell more copies, because it's like that's, and it's not even a greedy thing, maybe it is, but it's like that's how you get another book deal, is by selling enough copies of your previous books. So it's just stressful all around, and it's really demoralizing. And it's like I kind of have to stay off social media, because I swear it's like nobody posts about their failures, they post about their success.
Yeah.
So it's like if I have to see one more Tuesday morning email of all the new book deal announcements, it's like I can't deal. So anyway, that's my very long update.
I think you once told me a long time ago when I went through something similar with after Pearl, and then my publisher didn't want my next thing. I remember you saying like stay in your own lane, and this is kind of an interesting segue to maybe something we can just keep talking about, how to deal with this, what you're going through, and how to keep going, especially when writing is so much a part. It's who you are. It's like it's your career, it's your identity, it's like everything to to you, to both of us. And when you do get these like emotion, it's an emotional blow. It's not just like, okay, like how am I gonna pay my mortgage next year because I'm hoping to get another book deal, but it's also like it does call, like, we can't help but call into question our like writing abilities and all that stuff. And of course those little voices in our head, it's just garbage, it's just lies, it's noise, but it's still there, it's still real, it still happens. Like, I don't know anyone who like lives this like this perfect little brain that doesn't have those kinds of doubts. And then how do we keep going? Because you will keep going, and I know you will. I did. You will. Anyone else out there, I think it's an important thing for us to talk about, because it's true. Like you said, we don't necessarily talk about our failures. We talk about, okay, well, how do I market? How do I promote? How do I, get inspired? And that's all great. It's all important. It's part of it. But this is another piece that you don't often see. So I think maybe like anyone.
I mean, people, it's like nobody really talks about their failures and until it's wrapped up in a nice package of success. Like I see so many, here's my new book deal. I got 20 rejections and before I got this. No one ever says I got 800 rejections and now I'm throwing this away because it's a complete failure. Like you don't talk about that until you're in a place of success to talk about it. And right now when you're in a place of failure, it's just like it's just, and what really sucks about it is how much it can derail my creativity. Like, and I've said this before, like if I'm not in a good mood, I can't write. If something, if the refrigerator breaks or something non-related to writing happens in my life and stresses me out, it's like, oh, I can't write today because I'm stressed. But when something writing related happens that stresses me out, it's like so much worse. And sometimes I can't even read because a lot of times if I can't write, I'll sit on the couch and I'll just binge read a bunch of books. And like right now, it's at the point where I can't really even read. It's like and I feel really bad because I'm beta reading a few manuscripts for people, and it's like I need to get it done, but I'm not in a headspace to do any of that right now. Yeah. So ironically, I've reorganized my house. I've cleaned up a bunch of stuff. I made the dog's vet appointment. I made myself an appointment. I made my daughter an appointment for tomorrow. Like everything I've been putting off, I'm doing. And I was actually just thinking, I was going to send you pictures. I'm thinking of redoing my office and like rearranging it and moving the bookshelves and stuff and just making it a new space. And last night I was like, why am I doing this? Oh, that's right, because I'm procrastinating.
You know what? As you're talking, recondoed, yeah. As you're saying this, what's coming into my mind though is like you're in a space right now where you feel stuck because you got this rejection from the publisher, and all the things you're doing, you're moving that energy. Like you're moving that energy through you and releasing it, whether it feels like it's not writing productive necessarily, but it's productive in your rest of your life. And even
that is true.
And being in your office, like that's your creative space, that's where you spend a lot of your time. Maybe rearranging will kind of shift things and you'll have a new perspective. And I don't know, that
is true. And maybe I can reawaken the creativity. So Cassie just said, I thought you had good news coming. I do have extremely exceptionally good news coming. But in regards to my next book, my publisher has said that Sasha did not sell enough copies, so they don't want my next book. So it's on it's on submission with other publishers. So we're hoping for another book deal. But to circle back with what you said, like it's so the rejections really annoy me, like because especially when they're wrapped up in all these kind words, because my editor was super sweet and she still is. Like I love her to death, and I truly understand this is a business rejection, not a personal rejection. She said a lot of nice things about my book and a lot of nice things about me, and she's like, unfortunately, and my imprint is it's brand new. It's a brand new imprint, so I've been around for a couple of years. So it's like they're not having the sales numbers they want to continue with contemporary. So it's like I almost want to say, like, don't tell me nice things. Just say, Dear Cheyenne, you suck. We don't want your sucky piece of crap book. And I feel like I would almost feel better. It's like when you say a bunch of nice things, it just like crushes me because I'm just thinking, oh, maybe they're just making this up. Maybe they're just lying. This, like my book actually does suck. But it's, you got to have confidence. It really is in publishing. It's a business decision. Why they can't, and a lot of that I feel like it falls back on me. Like I didn't do a good enough job promoting my book. If I had sold thousands and thousands of copies of Sasha in the last 3 months that it's been out, maybe the publishers would be dying to give me a new book deal. I don't know. So it's like it's tough, and it really does screw with my creativity. And I like what you mentioned about the energy, because I've also been going to the gym every single day since I got that rejection. It's been about a week now. Every day I have worked my butt off for about an hour straight until I'm so exhausted I can't move anymore. And I almost wonder if that's kind of a way of this energy getting out, because it's like I cannot focus. Yeah. And like I have this new book idea that I'm super psyched about, and I haven't done jack on it. Like I have tried 2 or 3 times. I've tried to sit down and start working, and it's like I just can't. I just don't want to. It's almost like when I'm in this place of failure, I don't want to try to create something new. I have to wait till I'm in a good mood. Yeah. And it's so mood dependent, because I genuinely feel like we're a publisher to say, like, we are guaranteeing we're going to buy your next 5 books. I would probably write 5 books in like the next 3 months. Like I'd be so pumped and so inspired and excited. I could like write those books in no time. But when I'm down and rejected and feeling like crap, it's like I can't do anything. Yeah. Except rearrange my office, and I'll post pictures of that, you guys. It's going to look amazing.
I once heard a quote. It was like, when something crappy happens, when you're in an emotional state that's less than ideal, like just negative, it's fun, like feel it, like in what you're doing, like you feel stuck and maybe you don't want to feel this way, but it's important, I think, for us to acknowledge, like, yeah, like rejection blows, like there's no getting around that. I'm not gonna be like, oh yay, I'm like, they didn't want my book. But at the same time, you can't build a house there. You can't stay there. And what it sounds like, without you even realizing it, like going to the gym and doing all these like chores and stuff, you're moving through that. And sometimes when we don't know how to let things go, Or sometimes when we're not necessarily feeling creatively inspired, for other reasons, it's just not happening. Movement, I've found, whether it's just like walking around like that, taking a lap around the house, or going outside, or going to the gym, whatever, it really can just get the juices flowing, so to speak.
Oh yeah. Oh. It's so much better to do something than to sit on the couch and wallow.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't watched any TV in a really long time. I was thinking that last night. My sister-in-law was like, "Did you finish watching blah blah blah?" And I was like, "When's the last time?" And I think it all kind of ties back to about a week ago when I got rejected. Like, my TV doesn't get turned on during the day. And my husband plays Xbox, so that's a TV-related thing, but I'm not watching it. So it's like, I haven't been watching TV. I've been extremely busy. I've been taking care of stuff, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's, helping. Yeah. But yeah, if you just sit around and wallow in self-pity, you're definitely never going to get over it. And I think one of the worst things right now is it's not just the rejection from my publisher, because everybody keeps saying, you might get a better book deal, or something more amazing might happen. And that is true. And I think the hard part right now is the not knowing, because now my book's on submission, and it's like, I know from the last time I was on submission, within a couple weeks, the rejections are going to start coming in. Yeah. And it's like, I don't want it. I don't want to refresh my email. I don't want to hear any bad news, because my agent will call with good news. So it's like, I don't want to see any emails from her until, I want the good news. So it's like, it's this weird state. And I'm guessing all authors feel that way when you're on submission, because you're just, it's like, there's potential good news just hanging in the future, and you don't know if you get it yet or not. Yeah. And it's all of that uncertainty makes it so hard for me to be productive. So, but I can be productive in other things. I can do errands and tasks and all kinds of stuff. So it's like, I think that's kind of where I'm focusing my energy. And until I know something more solid, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sit down and work on this new book idea, which is really hilarious, because the number one advice that everyone always says is to work on your next book while you're waiting. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I would recommend that, because it's incredibly hard. And it's like, if I'm not in the right mindset, I'm not writing anything quality at all.
Two quick things. One is going back to what you said about Sasha not selling enough copies. Am I delayed or something?
No, you're not delayed. You're a little fuzzy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's being my screen on you look normal, but my thing's doing something weird. But anyway, what I wanted to say is another part of publishing, whether traditionally or independently, is once we hit publish, once our manuscript is in our editor's hands, we really have to part ways with it. And in the entire situation, from how many people buy the book to the reviews we get, all of it, it's really out of our hands. And there's that surrender, and it's so hard. Like, of course you can do all the things to market and promote, and like, you have done a phenomenal job. Like, I take notes. I'm like, okay, when my book comes out, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's phenomenal. But
it's so funny. Everybody tells me that. Everyone says, Cheyenne, you do such a great job. And I'm thinking, maybe it looks like that, but I'm not seeing the results that I want. Yeah. So it feels like I'm a complete failure at everything.
And you're not at all, because you're doing it. Like, I believe you only fail if you give up. You only fail if you stop trying. And yes, there are seasons, like you're in a season right now, maybe it'll just last another week, where you're just feeling like funky, not in the right headspace, like you said, but you'll have that moment where you'll just be like on the bike desk, getting back to it. And like, I know you will, and you know you will, but I think it is important for us to take the time to kind of just like, you're not building the house in this like, sad place, but you're just processing it. And I think it's important for us to do that, because then if we do move on to the next thing without allowing ourselves that, like, things start to get muddled. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's like, because I can, and this goes back to another topic we were going to talk about, like, I can be disciplined enough to force myself to sit down and work. And that's what I've been doing with my freelance writing jobs, because I need the money to pay the bills. But it's like, if I force myself to creatively write a manuscript for myself when I'm in this state of mind, it's going to be crap. Like, I already know that. It's not going to be worth anything. So why bother wasting my time? And it's funny, because the other day it's actually emailed it to you. I made the brief little kind of summary of my new book idea. And then a couple days ago, I opened it back up again, and I was like, these names are the stupidest names I've ever heard. Like, why did I pick these names for my characters? So I erased them all, and I replaced them with new names. And so it's like, that's all the work that I've got done is I renamed 2 characters for my new book idea. But yeah, it's just, and one thing that comes with knowledge, so if we have newer writers watching us, this too will pass, like it does. And every stage, whether it's a super excited, happy stage or a terrible, I suck and everybody hates me stage, it always passes. And that's one thing I can hold on to. Like when I'm in this funky zone of rejection, I know that it will go away. I know that there's good news around the corner. Like I know, and like you said, as long as I don't quit, I'm not just going to delete everything and say, forget it and never write again. So it's like, that would be a failure. But I know I'm not going to do that, so it will turn around, and maybe it'll take a year, maybe it'll take 2 years. God, I hope not. It's going to take what it takes, but I will have another book out, and because I'm not going to stop. So, the bad times will fade away into more good times because it's that roller coaster, and then I'm sure it'll be bad again. So, it's like you just have to keep aiming for the good. And I cannot wait until I can share my exciting news with you guys, because I think that sharing this exciting news is really going to help book sales, but I can't say anything about it at all right now. But so it's like all I can focus on is what I'm doing right now, which is trying to sell another book. So I hope my agent can mention the good news and her submissions to editors. I don't know if she can or not. I need to ask her, because that might help me get a new book deal.
Yeah.
So again, all this will be clear when I can talk about it. But yeah, so it's like even when there's good news on the horizon, I can still be in this sucky dark pit of awfulness, and that's just part of being a writer. And so yeah, I am hopeful, because I know it'll go away. It'll be fine. It's just right now it sucks. And yeah, I'm definitely going to remodel my office.
You've resolved to do that. So why don't we got one question about kind of creativity and inspiration, but do you want to keep talking about how to keep ourselves motivated? Like you and I were kind of emailing a little bit about it, motivation, discipline, habits, that kind of thing. I see a few people joined us, so if you have any questions about writing or publishing or promoting or any of that, pop them in the comment box. Otherwise, we're just going to keep talking.
Yep. So I found this comic online the other day, and I sent it to you, and I'm going to post it in our Facebook group. So go to facebook.com/writersuncut group. And it's really great to me because, and it's actually reminded me of an event. I will not say any names, but a few weeks ago, I went to dinner with several published authors. And I was sitting around the table thinking, this is so cool. All these authors are so much better than me. Like I was like starstruck, and they were like eating dinner with me as if I was their equal, which was super cool, because all these authors have dozens of books out. Many of them are New York Times bestselling authors. They were like super legit, right? And so we were talking, and when it came around to writing manuscripts, they were all like, oh my God, how do you write a book so fast? Like, teach me your ways. This is so awesome. And they were all freaking out because I can write really quickly. And I was thinking, no, you guys are the ones that inspire me. You know what I mean? Not the other way around. And they were like, you got to tell us your tricks. What are your tricks for how you write so quickly? And it made me think of this, this comic here that I'm going to paste on our Facebook group, because they were all like, how do you get the motivation and the inspiration to write your manuscripts? And I was like, it's this comic. So it says how people think motivation works, and it shows this little guy that's called Motivation, and he's like, come on, you can do it. And the person says, that's right, I can do it. And then it says how it actually works. And it's this little tiny guy named Motivation, and he flips a switch on this giant, and the giant is called Discipline. And then Discipline picks up the guy and drags him to the computer and says, you're going to do this. And that is my favorite comic, because it's like, you guys, I'm not some inspirational, amazing magic person. It's all just discipline. Like, I go to bed every night saying, I have to write another chapter tomorrow. I have to write 3,000 words, 5,000 words, whatever the goal is. And I wake up and make my coffee, and sometimes I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this. But I've already told myself I will. It's that discipline saying you have to do this. And then I come up to my office and I sit down and I force myself to write it. And that's how it gets done. And like I said, I'm not writing right now because I can only write in the mindset. But when I'm in the middle of a manuscript, I have a full outline and I have discipline that tells me you have to do this, and it gets done, and it really does get easier. So it's like, don't be sitting around waiting for some magical fairy dust of inspiration, happiness, unicorns to like fly through the air and inspire you to write. It's like, it's not fun. It's not inspiring. You have to sit down and do the work, and that's how it gets done. So we have a question. How did you guys start? How did you find your agent, or did your agent find you? How did I start? Do you remember how I started? So it was about, I keep saying 10 years ago now, but now that it's 2019, I think it was longer than that. It was probably about 12 years ago. I wanted to write. I started writing. I wrote a bunch of crap that wasn't good at all. I researched how to find agents, and I actually had kind of a non-traditional way of coming about it, because in 2012, I decided that I wasn't good enough to get an agent and that nobody would want to publish me, so I self-published a book. And then a publisher contacted me and wanted to publish one of my stories. So then I got a traditional deal without an agent. And then I said, well, maybe I should try to get an agent. Maybe I am not as worthless as I think I am. And so I did a whole bunch of research, and I've used Agent Query and querytracker.net. And if you go to our Facebook group, I've talked about it, but I've posted the links to those. And I did a bunch of agent research, sent out a bunch of queries. I wrote Sasha, which is the book that I love and adore. Sent out a bunch of queries. I sent out 20 queries, and I had like 18 manuscript requests within a couple days. And I had 3 offers of representation, and I picked Kim, my dream agent, and that's kind of how that all happened. And so it was kind of like this quick whirlwind of getting my agent and the book deal for that. And then now I'm back at, kind of like a standstill waiting for another book deal. So that's my journey in a nutshell. Do you want to give yours?
My journey is almost identical to yours in a lot of ways. The timeline is very similar. And I'll add that in general in life, I don't follow the traditional route. Like, I just don't do things the way like ABC, high school, college. Like, I mean, I guess I did go to college, but like, I just don't necessarily do things in the order they say to. And so my agent came a little bit later. I also had my first 2 books traditionally published, unagented, and for what it was, like, I'm happy with the way that it went. If I could go back, maybe I would want to have an agent. I don't know. But now my agent, Anne Rose, from Prospect, I was connected to her through Cheyenne. And I'm also on submission. So yeah, we're hanging in the balance over here. But I want to say that once you get an agent, which is amazing, it's a huge accomplishment. And like, I applaud myself, you, pat ourselves on the back and all that. It doesn't necessarily mean that the door is suddenly open and it's like the angels are singing like, oh, you have made it. There are so many more hurdles to cross. And I'm not saying that deter anyone or scare anyone, but for a long time, maybe back in 2012, I thought to myself, like, wow, once I get an agent, I've made it. Like, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. There's going to be a path paved with rainbows and candy everywhere, and it's going to be so wonderful, and unicorns flying around. No, I mean, I guess unicorns don't fly, but in this world they do. And yeah, it's amazing having an agent, and like, but it's one step in the process.
I was gonna say, I don't think there's ever a time where you've made it, unless you're one of the like top 5 young adult authors, because it's like, you think if I can only get an agent, everything's going to be downhill from here, but it's not. And if I can only get a book deal, it'll be downhill from here, and it's not. And then once your book's in Barnes & Noble, which I'm currently experiencing, it is still not downhill from here. Like, you still get rejections. I had bookstores say, sorry, you're not popular enough. We don't want to host a book signing for you. I have reached out to Instagrammers saying, can I give you a free book if you make one of your pretty Bookstagram pictures of it? And they said, nah, no thanks. And like, you still get rejected at every turn. You're still not guaranteed another book deal. You're not guaranteed any sales. So it's like, I don't know if there's ever a time when you've made it, and I'm not sure there ever will be, because it's like your author career is always just hanging by on this tiny little thread that's fraying as we speak. Like, and when something good happens, you like wrap a piece of duct tape around that thread for a short while, and then it starts pulling down again. Like, and this is almost how my body feels all day long. Like my entire existence as an author is, it's like I'm just barely getting by. You're just waiting for that next thing to kind of patch up your career. So Rachel said, what does on submission mean? So that means when our agent, so I send my agent my next book, and she sends it out to editors, and all agents do it kind of differently. Mine tends to send it out to like 10-ish editors at a time, and then these editors will read it and decide if they like it or whatever. And what sucks is even if an editor reads your book and loves it, they have to take it to the acquisitions board at their publisher. So they have to get like whoever is in charge. I've heard it can be like 10, 15, 20 people at the publisher that all have to agree that they want to buy this book. Yeah. And if another editor has another similar book and they push it harder and they want it more and they can convince more people, that book's getting a book deal and you're not. So being on submission is this horrible existence where your agent is actively trying to see if a publisher wants to buy your book. And, you know, they'll send it out in small batches, and when everybody rejects it, they'll send out some more. And it's long and it's sad and it's scary, and I don't like it at all. But it's necessary to get that next book deal.
Yeah. So basically, you write the book, you revise the book, you edit the book, you query the book, which in a way is like being on submission to agents. And then once you have the agent then basically queries editors at publishing houses, and then the editors then query or go on submission to the acquisitions editors. And
so there's a lot, like, and I've said it before, like when you walk into a bookstore and look around, like every single book on the shelf is this tiny little miracle, because it really, unless it's written by a celebrity, in which case it's handed to them. But it's like every book is this miracle because you have to get it written. You have to have an agent say, yes, I like this, because I've written a couple books and my agent's like, nah, this isn't going to work. And she was completely right. They weren't sellable. They suck. So you have to, like, the book has to make it through so many little small miracles to actually end up on the shelf. Because we even had, when Sasha was on submission, an editor really liked it and really wanted it, but they had just recently bought another book that was kind of similar. And publishers can't have two similar books releasing in the same year. So they were like, unfortunately, we can't take this. You should have sent it to us a few months ago, kind of thing. So it's like every little step of the way is horrible. And it's a miracle if you make it through. So it's like, again, like I said, it's like I feel like my body is constantly on edge with every single second of being an author. So you really do have to take the good things as they come and just hold on to them. Like I'm excited because this Friday I'm doing a career day talk to 4th and 5th graders. So I was like, this is going to be so cool. And I might inspire some of them to be writers, which at first I was like, this is going to be fun. And then I was like, oh no, am I ruining their lives if I inspire them to become a writer? But, you know, and that's fun, getting invited to do that kind of thing. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Orlando for a book festival with a bunch of other authors, and that's really fun. So it's like you just kind of have to hold on to the fun, exciting things, because publishing has more than enough terrible, miserable, life-shattering, soul-sucking things that you're going to have to deal with. So find the happiness where you can.
Once you get through all the publishing hurdles, once you get through all of that, then it's in the reader's hands. And that's another thing. Like, you can't control what they're going to like or what they're going to connect with. And so it's real. But like you said, there are a lot of wonderful aspects to this, and it's a miracle and it's a gift. And I feel so privileged to be able to do it and meet people like you, Cheyenne, and all of you who are here with us, and readers. And it's exhausting and exhilarating at the same time.
Yeah, and you know, the good things really do, I'm not sure if they outweigh the bad things, but the good things make the bad things worth it. And like I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million more times. If you can quit, go ahead and quit, because good, I'm happy for you, because you don't have to suffer like we do. But it's like writers that they're so passionate about writing like we are, you can't quit. It's like a drug addiction, but probably worse, because like you can't quit, you know. And so we just keep doing this to ourselves, and And it's because it really is all worth it in the end. But it's like, I feel like, and this is Writers Uncut, I feel like I have to be honest with you guys. I don't want to just sit here and sugarcoat everything. And I'm probably going to sugarcoat a lot when I talk to the little kids on Friday. Because it's like, they gave me a questionnaire. It's like, what are the good things and what are the bad things? And I was like, I'm not going to tell them the bad things. So, good things, you get to work in your pajamas. I think they're going to like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's like, it really is worth it. And I know I can sound morose and sad and miserable. And most of the time I am miserable. But it's like the happy times really make it worth it. And even just getting to do this and talk to you guys, like it's so much fun. And it's like, it's my favorite part of the week is having this thingy that we're doing. What is this? It's not a podcast.
Oh,
Our chat.
Yeah, we have to make it into a podcast still. I keep forgetting to look into that.
Every time I look it up, I get overwhelmed. So if anyone knows an easy way to make this into a podcast, please let me know.
I think I found an easy way to make the YouTubes into an MP3, into like an audio file of some sort, and then you upload that. But like that's as far as that seems pretty straightforward.
The YouTube? The YouTubes? Oh, we are not technically inclined. Yeah.
But, I think, we've talked a lot about this being a roller coaster, and I think it is important for everybody to know the ups and the downs, because you can go anywhere and see people's successes and how awesome it is, and, sing their praises, and it's like, oh, this is great. It's like all sunshine and roses, but there's a lot of work to get there, and people don't always show that. And there's a lot of disappointments along the way too. And I think it's important for people to know that, not only because just so then they know that, because whatever, why, but so that we can learn from each other, and we can learn how to keep going and keep moving forward, even when times get tough. We have each other. Mm-hmm. We have our community. We have, sometimes we just need to take a break. We have other creative outlets we can turn to. And sometimes we just have to sit our butt in the chair and just keep doing it. Sometimes that is the most important thing. Like, you can't just sit around hoping and wishing to be an author. You have to actually do the work. But it's, Cassie said, use Adobe Audition. Do you have to pay for that software? Because everything that's Adobe, you have to pay for, it seems like. But I will look into that to turn our videos into podcasts. Thank you, Cassie. But I was going to just add one more thing, and maybe we'll wrap up. Hope. I keep hearing this quote: "Hope is not a strategy." So you can hope that you're going to write a book. You can hope that you're going to find an agent. You can hope that it's going to get published, but you actually have to do the work every step of the way. And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you don't want to get up and do it, but you have to do it anyway. Sometimes you will take a day and rearrange your office, and that's okay, because we all need a break every now and then, because you've been going hard, girl.
A day? I'm planning like a 2-week office renovation.
Oh.
No, not really. Just one day. I'm going to drag all the furniture around and see if it makes me feel better.
Nice. But yeah, you have to keep going. You have to come up with a plan, an outline, maybe set a goal and work backwards from there. There's all kinds of ways forward, but you just have to keep doing it. I'm going to interrupt myself though, because we're getting some tech help here. Cassie says, I have the cloud software. Rachel says it's hard. Oh, it's hard and rewarding work. Yes, it is. It is hard and rewarding work. And then Cassie says there has to be a free thing. I can't remember what it is called. Audacity. Maybe.
Audacity. Okay. I have that actually. Yeah, I could try doing that. It's like right now I take the Instagram video and I upload it to YouTube through my phone. So I need to download them all to the computer and then try to strip it out. I don't know. But I found some websites that will do it for you. You just put the YouTube link and they'll give you the audio file. So I really need to get on that. I need to add that to my list. Maybe after my office is rearranged, I'll do that. But yeah, it's... Oh, Rachel said don't scare the cat. She's actually, I don't think she's not up there today. She's sleeping on my bed. So, see, I think even she knows that it's not a very productive week, so she's not in here giving me her cat magic. But, I mean, honestly, she doesn't do much around the house.
Oh, I never answered Matt's question. Matt Voyager.
Okay.
He had a question. We never answered it. So his question was, do you ever just, take out a notebook, like this one that I keep next to my computer, and just freehand and write, and to kind of get the creativity flowing and to get the inspiration out or whatever. And my answer is I used to. I don't really do that anymore. I often just use this notepad to take notes as I'm writing or outlining or whatever, and like it can't go like on the page where like the document. It needs to, like, it's a different thought. But I used to do that a lot, actually. I used to journal and just kind of like explore kind of that, but I don't really do that anymore. But I think it's a useful thing to do, especially like the pen to paper or pencil to paper can be very, it's like a nice connection.
I also don't do that anymore. The only time I've ever really used pen and paper is when I don't have access to a computer. There's been sometimes where I'm like substitute teaching, and I will get this great idea and I'll scribble it down real fast. And I have a notebook in my purse, and there's been a few times where something comes to me and I write it down. But for the most part, I don't, because I have lupus and I have arthritis in my hands. And so writing just sucks. Like, I don't really like doing it. And I can actually type without much pain. It's the writing that hurts. So no, my answer is mostly no. But sometimes when I haven't had paper. But now with cell phones, I kind of will just open my phone and write something, or I'll speak into it if I've got this great idea to save. And I actually have a couple emails in my inbox right now that I've sent myself in the middle of the night because I had an idea for my new book idea. And I have not read through them because they don't really make much sense. So I'll have to like navigate that later. But no, I really don't. But I think it can be extremely beneficial for you if it helps. Like, because I know some writers love to just sit down with the notebook and just like let their ideas flow. And if that works, then definitely go for it, because we all have different processes, and whatever works, you need to latch onto that and hold on to that and use it.
Yep. I keep a notebook next in the night table, and sometimes I'll get up, or I won't be able to fall asleep, and I'll write something down. It's usually illegible. I can't read it in the morning, but I do that. But I think what he's asking is like, I used to like go to a cafe, and I'd have my little Moleskine or like a notebook or something, and I would just write and just sort of just freestyle, just like what's the expression? Not train of thought.
I know what you're talking about. If you guys know it, put it in the comment. It's called I don't know.
I can't remember. You know what I'm saying though, like stream of consciousness.
Yes.
Just sort of letting things out. I used to do that a lot, but now I feel like and when I get an original idea, like when the idea for a book first comes to me, I'll usually write something down, and that's just sort of like almost like a bookmark, like, hey, don't forget about this, and then I'll go back to it. But I've trained myself to type everything because it's more efficient. But if writing or drawing even works for you, like Cheyenne said, like hold on to that, because that can be a real nice way to originate what you're doing, like a nice like starting point, and then something to come back to if you're feeling stuck or if you're not feeling inspired that day to write or whatever it is. And it also can just be like another way to be creative too. It's like, doesn't have to all be just typing words.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it does help to vary it up. Like, because I write on the OfficeSmart, but sometimes I will write in Microsoft Word. So like sometimes I'll type on the OfficeSmart or type on the computer. I have been known to open up Google Documents if I'm away from somewhere and I don't have my flash drive, and just kind of type. So sometimes whatever method you can get your writing in, you need to use if inspiration strikes. So go for it. Find what works for you, and definitely don't take anyone's advice and stick to it like it's like the law, because whatever works for you works for you. And I really like to try stuff. I like trying everything. If it doesn't work, then I just forget it. If it's my writer's tool belt, and I use it. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm on low power mode.
You just started lagging, so I can tell.
Yep. I still need a new
Okay,
phone.
well, I'm going to title this episode, what did you say? Something is not a plan or a strategy? Hope is not a strategy. Yes, so that's the title of this episode, because I don't know what else to call it.
I think that's a good one. I like it. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And we will be back next Wednesday morning, afternoon, depending on where you are. Writers Uncut. You can join us on Facebook. And if you are just catching the end of this, or have a friend that wants to watch it, it'll be live on my Instagram this week for 24 hours, and then it goes up on YouTube. And so it's Writers Uncut on YouTube. You can search that in the box.
Yep, and please subscribe because we need those subscribers.
And
we
then,
need at least 100.
Yeah.
YouTube rewards you when you get 100. We can give ourselves a custom URL, because right now we can just tell people, hey, search for Writers Uncut. We can't say go to YouTube/Writers Uncut. So we need those 100 subscribers. So tell everybody you know. I have already guilted my family into subscribing, so you need to guilt your family too. But thanks, guys, for joining us, and catch us on Facebook too. I'm going to post that cartoon that I talked about that talks about discipline.
Awesome. All right. Have a good writing week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.